Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, we got sound. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I'm John Miglash for the WDMA, and we'll be talking about direct mail today for financial advisors. And I've got a few new people calling me up about that sort of thing, and I get a lot of them in my mail, so we're going to talk about that. But first we're going to get over here to the McDonald's Christmas commercial for this year, and they're featuring the Raise Your Arches theme that they launched in January and was one of the top brand influencing commercials of their history. It got like a 4.8 out of 5, which we'll talk about in the show. Let me get my clock here so I don't go forever. Okay, there we go. But the beginning of the commercial is fairly strong, I think. Well, yeah, I'll show you why. So it starts out with a office party or something and bad karaoke, and that sign was showing the arches. But now it descends a little, and she's having trouble with the karaoke, so she pulls out her phone, and someone texted her burger fries question mark, but this goes by so fast. Okay, and then that guy raises his eyebrows. That's like the only time you can really see it. You can't see it here, but now you got a whole pile of people all of a sudden in spite of that very subtle thing. You don't see Santa's eyebrows going up, and I don't think you see anybody's eyebrows going up. Nope, doesn't do it there. Okay, so then everybody marches to McDonald's, and you have a happy thing. But they just don't continue the theme, and it's a minute and 30 seconds of people marching around, and then finally at the end you'll see a McDonald's store. But and everybody's happy, but they've lost the whole point. The whole point was you got to move your eyebrows, and the first one was really good about moving those eyebrows up and down. You got to get that going, or one or the other. I don't know. I can do both. I can wiggle each ear at one time. Anyway, so I was like underwhelmed beyond words. Let's go over here to the backstory. And Raise Your Arches, fancy McDonald's this Christmas. Leo Burnett, UK. The restaurant's only shown at the very end of the ad, not really even shown at all, if you ask me. And this huge crowd, and it just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. It's just horrible. Cut it down to 30 seconds, and you might have an ad. The beginning stuff, I couldn't even get a frame of the stuff they were doing. I mean, I could get a frame if I really worked at it. But so when they first released this theme, it achieved an exceptional brand rating of 98, according to Systems One. John Evans over there runs all that stuff. But the next one only got a good with 3.1 stars out of 4. The first one, it looks like, had a 4.7. I was wrong by a digit. Out of 5.9, but the second one only got a good. I don't even remember the second one. Chris Kemsinski, probably, it's on a good Wisconsin name, was praised the concept, and last Christmas the list, which also went on, but it was really nice because basically the little kids list included presents for the neighbors and the little old lady that lived next door. So we'll see, but I don't think it's going to be a hit because it's just too much. It's too much distraction from any point whatsoever, and there's only this one, and this took me a long time, just to capture the little eyebrow raise, which is their whole point. Here's an interesting article from Media News. Joe Mondesi, and I've most of Joe's articles are locked, so I don't usually get to say much about him, but he's got this penchant for graphing numbers in funny ways. Like, for example, he graphs the amount of money each category makes in influencer economics from this Keller Advisory Group based study. But I'd like to see the total. I'd like to see how many macros are there. And of course, it's going to be this little tiny sliver down here, right? And, if there was equal numbers, it would be all of them are down here in the nano group. But I just didn't think that these numbers added up. According to this study, there's 27 million influencers, which sounds like a lot. When you think about a total population of 330 million or something, that's still like 10%, of the adults, probably more than 10%. More than 10% are influencers getting paid on social media? It doesn't sound right to me, okay? And the average is 179,000 that they make as influencers. Now I follow sailing channels, and the best ones do make, 4, 5, 6, 10 grand a year, maybe the very best ones. One of them I'm pretty close with. They get 50 to 100,000 views on most of their posts, which they do weekly. I think they make about 4 grand a month, which would be, 50 grand a year, right around. That's a long ways from this, right? So that would put them down in here in the micro, and they also have Patreons. But let's just say let's say that's right. And I would rank them in one of the top 5 or 6 sailing channels on YouTube. But multiply 27 million by $179,000, and you get 4.8 billion. No, 4.8 trillion. Trillion. Is that right? Yeah. 4.8 or 4,833 billion. But it's 4.8 trillion. Okay, now, to put that in perspective, let's get some perspective on this. I think that that cute little starlet, what's her name? I couldn't remember it this morning either. It's coming, but she did a tour, and she was credited on a story I did last week or two with raising the U.S. economy by 4 billion or 5 billion. And, okay, so I looked up trillion-dollar companies, and that's valuation, and it's Apple, and it's Alphabet, and it's Amazon, and Nvidia, and there's maybe 1 or 2 others in there that have valuations more than $1 trillion. But what is Apple's revenue per year? What's their sales? Okay, it's not even 400 billion. Okay, it's not even half a billion. I mean, yeah, it's not even half a trillion, rather. I'm sorry. It's not even half a trillion. And so you're telling me that the companies that pay these influencers to make their creative stuff make less than the influencers by a lot? Almost $5 trillion they make a year? Okay, so anyway, and this is from Ed Keller, and the Keller Advisory Group has for 20 years been puffing the influencer market as being probably way more influential than it is. And so I just have a real trouble with this article. And here's Apple's sales per year. This is 400 billion right here at this line, and it doesn't quite get there. Just about gets there, but not quite. Okay, so if anybody wants to check I checked and checked. I tried to find the study. I tried to corroborate, but I'm just saying it doesn't pass the absolutely ridiculous, crazy number test. Okay, just, yeah, Mr. Bean probably does. Oh, Taylor Swift. She did the $5 billion tour with a movie, and good for her, but it just doesn't add up. So, and I really put this in here just to call you guys out. I mean, come on. I don't get paid anything for my YouTube videos. I have almost 2,000. Never made a dime. So you're not supporting this channel nearly enough. Well, maybe I don't count as an influencer. If I do, I'm below a nano. Okay. And that's okay. Direct mail. Who wants to hear about direct mail? But if you do, and you want me to look at your mailing piece or give you an hour of my time to talk strategy, join the WDMA. It's a great deal. It's way less than my hourly rate. Which brings me to my last article. I'm going fast today. Direct Mail Marketing for Financial Advisors by Rebecca Lake. Okay, and I used to buy lists from the Lake Group. I don't know if they're related at all, but just rings a bell. Anyway, direct mail marketing is often overlooked. Everybody's, as always, every article says, you think you should be doing digital, but maybe mail, right? So snail mail might seem outdated. It's funny because I got a connection invitation yesterday on LinkedIn, and the guy said, "What are you interested in?" And I said, "Direct mail." And he said, "Isn't that old school?" Which is funny because I'm working with old school marketing, with their handwritten envelopes. They actually sent me a whole bunch of them, and they tagged them because this one is they also do a robot one. They have pen robots that they've programmed, and I got to admit, this is top drawer. It looks like cursive, and it has, I can see the E's. There's 3 or 4 different E's, including Killian, Texas. Okay, and the E's have 2 different shapes, so they alternate letter shapes. Very, very, very impressive. I see 3 different C shapes that look slightly different, and they're using pens which have a little bit of slop in them, so even an identical letter may be a little bit different. So they also have 180 people on staff who do handwritten. I don't know, you can't see this, right? I kind of can see it. It's very, very well done. And this is the machine. Let's try and get this up here. This is the machine one. Excellent, excellent, excellent. It's the best cursive I've ever seen that really does look like handwriting. It really, really does. And so it is old school. So direct mail is old school marketing. But I still think it's effective, and that's the question. Is it effective or not? Okay, and according to this article, according to Rebecca Lake, I think that's right. Yeah, she says there are some distinct advantages of mail. Direct mail can be personalized. I'm often not sure what that means. I'm not sure it's worth it, but it depends on your circulation. If you have 5 million, regular 5 million drops, one of the things that we did for Cabela's way back in the future, yes, David Bear, I mentioned him again, was that we figured out the difference between the fishing buyer and the hunting buyer. And one of the reasons they had such trouble with it was because if you ever bought fishing, let's say you were a big hunter and you wanted to go to Cabela's all the time with your hunting supplies. But like me, maybe you grew up fishing and you could go into Walmart and buy fishing lures all day long and catch fish. Okay, I'm pretty good at fishing. And so you don't really need Cabela's advice, but maybe you wanted that crazy horse double spinner bass lure that Mike recommended to me way back, and they didn't have it at Walmart, so I bought it from Cabela's. I tacked it on one order for $5 extra. Okay, in the Cabela's database system, and this is not uncommon, I've seen it many times, they would basically flag that you'd bought fishing. Now, you may have bought $10,000 worth of hunting, and you may have only bought one $5 lure, but according to their database, all it could see, because it was an overly simplistic view of a purchase category. And we're working with a grocery store right now at Old School. And, we ask them, can you tell which ones people buy produce? If you have that checkbox type system, if somebody's ever bought an apple in your store, they're a produce buyer, even though they never buy regularly. So we built RFMs. How many times did they buy fishing? How many times did they buy hunting? When was the last time they bought fishing? When was the last time they bought hunting? How much total spend did they have? How much profitability? And actually, without telling you the whole deal, we had 40 different variables per category, per customer category. For Baseball Express, we had 3 different categorizations for each item bought. So we knew if it was male female because they came out with a female catalog for fast pitch. We knew if it was fast pitch or softball or fastball. And we knew if it was business to business or consumer, besides bats, balls, and gloves, which told us almost nothing. So we actually had 4 of them that I can remember. We probably had more than that. And each one had about 40 variables, which we calculated about 80, and then we categorized them into about 40. So it's 120 variables or something for each set of categories. Okay. When you do that, you can find out that a lot of people weren't really buying fishing. We found out that the categorization by Cabela's was off about 10%. In other words, 10% of the people that they thought bought fishing, we couldn't find any fishing, and about 5% of them that had bought fishing didn't say they'd bought fishing. So this stuff has to be done well, and if you do all that, which almost no one does, even with the AI world, they almost never do it very well, then direct mail can be personalized. If you don't, then you don't know much. And don't trust demographics because it's really not very good. But open rates, here, let's get to this one. Open rates may be higher. Email, it's too easy for an email to be trashed without ever being opened. And there's the interesting piece. This is something that very few people hit on. All other media throws itself away. You know, every day, for a couple of times a day, I scan my email and I mark all as read. And you know what I found out? Because I actually tracked it on WDMA email, broadcast email. Yeah, it's cheap. Yeah, it's easy. It's not free, but it's cheap. And does it get any open rates? Does it? Yeah, well, 37% or something we average about, which is pretty good. But you know, it turns out when you mark it as read, it actually goes up. If you do it right away, you can see it. You can see the number move, even though you didn't open it. Okay. Now, a lot of people just delete them. I keep them. I don't know why. Eventually, I delete them. But the point is that all other media throws itself away. If you don't watch this, it's not going to bother you again. You know, LinkedIn, if you subscribe, if you follow me and you connect and you hit like every now and then, LinkedIn will probably show you that I'm doing a live stream. Is anybody out there alive? I'll turn the chat on and see if anybody's out there. Okay. Yesterday we had Bill Farquharson chime in, but it wasn't live. It was later. Most of you watch this later, and that's perfectly fine. You can watch it at 2.x speed, and that's okay too. I try to speak clearly enough that you can listen at double speed, and it saves you 10 minutes or something. So anyway, everything else throws itself away. Direct mail does not throw itself away. It hangs around. I got envelopes and I got catalogs back here, and I got all kinds of stuff that I have decided to keep in case I need it. Okay, so physical space engages your brain 10 times more than visual stimulation. There you go. You can increase your brand visibility. In other words, if you do financial advisors near me, you know, you'll get Yelp and Google and whatever else all shoving you paid ads, but you may not get yourself down 2 or 3 pages, which nobody goes to. So with direct mail, you know you're getting to your audience and they're touching it. They have to make a decision and throw themselves away. So there's less competition and people have to touch it. They have to make a decision. And you may get people who make decisions. That's another factor in financial advice. You want somebody that's going to take your advice so that you can prove to them that it's valuable. If all they do is come and listen, that's not going to do it. Okay, you want a person that makes a decision, and direct mail guarantees that they make decisions, right? So you can choose the right format. The big one that we get a lot of is actually it looks like a wedding invitation or something. It's an invitation to come to dinner and hear their pitch. And my wife says we should do these more often. You know, we've done 1 or 2, but you know, get a dinner, and it's usually at a fairly nice restaurant. And you know, they're not over the top crazy with you. You know, if you do retirement planning for people in their 40s, you can rent lists of people in their 40s. They may not be accurate, but they're pretty close. The best thing here in the article, though, is you can test, A/B test. Format tests are pretty tricky. They're pretty expensive. You know, before you do that, I would test the offer and the list. The list first, the offer second, format third, maybe fourth, whatever. You know, you can save some money in postcards, but it doesn't have near the punch. And so, great article. I highly recommend it. Rebecca Lake. And don't forget direct mail. Hey, let's support this influencer. Am I an influencer? Let me know in the comments. Have